Welcome back to our continuing E3 coverage here at Season Gaming. So we're going to talk about Microsoft's conference. I was fortunate enough to go earlier in the day. Bert watched it live, and reactions have been wildly positive so far for the most part. So kind of give a quick thought on what you thought right out of the gate.
Yeah, so the best summary to kind of think about is they kind of met the hype. They didn't quite exceed or come below the hype, so I think that's the best way to think about it. A lot of big announcements that we were kind of expecting, a couple that we didn't see coming at all. It was good to see some of our dream of Halo coming in there, so some good news there, and the ending of it closed it out with Cyberpunk, so good news.
Yeah, so let's talk about first what we didn't see, because there's a lot of games to get to, and we'll probably spend a lot of time going through those, but we didn't see any new hardware. So there was a rumor we would see a new Elite controller. You were hoping for that, I know. So was I. We didn't see that. We didn't see this rumored new wireless racing wheel we saw a picture of the other day. No new accessories, obviously no new consoles. The only thing they mentioned later was that they're already developing the next Xbox. But the biggest thing, I would think, other than the games themselves, was Phil Spencer's announcement of studio acquisition. So came out, talked about the acquisition of, the building of the Daryl Gallagher-led studio called The Initiative in Santa Monica. That's its official name now. That's going to be for AAA, big budget, big production games. They then formally announced the acquisition of Playground Games, which we knew was coming. And the acquisition of Undead Labs, which makers of State of Decay 2, and they're going to be expanding and ramping up as well. So that was cool. And then they continued. So they have also acquired Ninja Theory, which was met with a huge round of applause and surprise. Developers of Hellblade, one of the games we both love. And they also announced the acquisition of Compulsion Games, developers of We Happy Few out of the UK. Talented studio. Game looks like it could be pretty large as well. So 5 new studios joining their portfolio officially as first-party developers. The comment around the biggest single-year investment Microsoft has ever made into gaming, and the full support of Microsoft as a company, including AI, cloud services, everything that Microsoft does in their wheelhouse, now focusing towards Xbox. So this was really, really big news.
Yeah, I don't think I even, in my wildest dreams, would think that Ninja Theory would be on the block to be purchased.
Especially when there were a lot of PlayStation games in the past.
Yeah, we've got Heavenly Sword that came from the past, which was, I guess, an exclusive to the console, which was kind of cool. Enslaved was one of my favorite games of last gen, so I'm hoping that'll be something, maybe they'll bring that back or maybe have a sequel. But yeah, I mean, it's good that the studios are there. We kind of now have the official name of the new studio that is going to be out of Santa Monica. So cool to see. I hope that makes some big games for us in the future. In the near future, hopefully.
Obviously, longer term, longer tail, but good to see the investment is there, which I think is what people were waiting for, is to see Microsoft was investing heavily into the future, and it's clear they are. The funny thing, after the Playground announcement, we obviously knew Forza Horizon was coming, and we'll get to that. But Phil mentioned a new title they're developing, and everyone was waiting for a transition into a Fable trailer, but we didn't get it, sadly. The crowd, I could tell you the live reaction was kind of funny. It was like, you could hear a sigh.
Kind of a surprise. I mean, I think we were not expecting, but we were going to at least maybe see a teaser trailer or something along the lines of a new Fable, but they've only hinted to it as to another IP they're working on. They haven't actually said Fable.
Nope, just open world or large world, something like that.
Yep, hopefully this generation we'll see it, but big game there. I mean, Forza Horizon looks amazing. I mean, to your surprise, it's going to be in Britain, or to everybody's surprise.
Love it.
We thought it was going to be in some Asian country. There was China and Japan that were mentioned initially, and it's nowhere near that. Not even in the same type of hemisphere or anything. So kind of cool that that's there.
So let's talk about first party then. What is coming first party, at least in the near future? Forza Horizon 4 looked incredible. We knew it would look incredible. Britain, as you said, which I adore. That could not be a better location for me personally. The unique thing about it, though, was the seasons and the dynamic world. So what they really stressed was that it's going to be one living world for all the players worldwide, and when something changes for one player, it changes for everyone. Servers are going to be populated with real players, and that things will change dynamically on the fly. So looks incredible. Oh, and a 60 FPS mode for a console.
Yeah, 60 FPS. I'm assuming that's probably going to be running on the X. We'll probably get that power, 4K. So that'll probably be there. I mean, it's when you see the trailer, it's kind of crazy. You just see tons of cars rolling in there everywhere, different directions and stuff. You're used to just seeing like a specific race and only what's right in front of you. Now there's people coming from everywhere in different area, a lot more off-roading, it seems like.
It's going to be chaos.
Yeah, it should be pretty crazy, actually. It looks really, really good. Yeah.
Ori and the Will of the Wisps, new trailer there, not coming till 2019, surprisingly. People thought it may slip out this year, but I guess, just with all the third-party stuff we already know is coming later in the year, it doesn't make sense to launch that game. So
yeah, it looks beautiful, per usual.
Yeah, beautiful, sounded great. Crackdown 3, we now know is February. Everyone keeps saying February 22nd, but Microsoft has not said that. It's just February 2019. So knowing that we now have Anthem, Days Gone, and Metro Exodus on February 22nd, I don't see Microsoft launching it on the same day. I'm thinking probably the first week. But new trailer, single player again, Terry Crews voiced over the whole thing. Looks more polished. They showed some more detail. I like the look of it a lot. The only disappointing thing was, again, unless they show it during the week, we don't see multiplayer.
Yeah, no multiplayer at all. The biggest thing you can take away from the trailer is you can see a lot more time was put into this game. This time, from past trailer, I would say last year's trailer was kind of bland. You get to see some more action and kind of Terry Crews introducing the game, but to your point, more no multiplayer, but more single player. Looks like something new is going on, but it looks great. I mean, I think a lot of people were speculating that it would be delayed even further, or might get some kind of different change on the release date in general. Yeah. But it was good to see that we have a tentative date. So let's hope that doesn't move again.
Yeah, I don't think it will this time. I think the investment is there, and Phil said that the team has their target date. So.
Yeah.
All right, the rumor was true. So we got an announcement of 3 Gears games. This was a big shock. It was funny. I was telling Bert I had a guy behind me who was really loud and excited, which I loved. And him and I were going nuts. So they showed the Crimson Omen, and him and I were screaming. And then all of a sudden, this pop figure pops out of it, and everyone in the crowd was kind of like, "What in the hell is happening here?"
What's going on here? Yeah.
So we've got a mobile game coming, collaboration between the Coalition and Funko Pop, of all things, coming next year. We'll see what that looks like. And we also got the long-rumored Gears Tactics game. So XCOM strategy-style game. The unique thing about it was they showed some gameplay. They didn't show a different developer, and they also said they only mentioned PC.
Right.
So I don't know. We don't know, what to think of that at the moment.
Yeah, we had kind of heard the rumors, and we were kind of thinking that it would be some kind of tactics or something like they were going to have with the XCOM type turn-based type game. And the weirdest thing is exactly what you would picture a Gears of War XCOM game to be is exactly what it looked like.
Yeah.
It didn't really surprise or let down on that either. It was exactly what you kind of picture that to be. But I'm pretty excited about it. I'm only going to be not excited if it's only PC.
Yeah, I hope I can play it on the X.
Yeah, it seems like almost all of Microsoft is like you can play it anywhere. So I feel like it would be on a console, but maybe just is more designed for keyboard and mouse. Which is we didn't hear anything about keyboard and mouse support.
No new hardware support. No.
Yeah.
And then of course Gears 5. So Gears 5 looks incredible. It is, again, I was kind of saying to some people I talked to about Gears that it looks like it looks to be very cinematic, definitely a more emotional story they're leading towards in this one, it seems, and it seems like the investment in the franchise is bigger than ever as well. It looks very, very AAA, if that even makes sense. Rod Ferguson did come on stage as he usually does. He mentioned it's the biggest Gears game, Gears world they've ever created, and they showed a lot of different environments and some even some gameplay.
Yeah,
looks amazing.
Yeah, some of the gameplay looked kind of a single player-ish, almost like a Tomb Raider, where you could see Kate kind of navigating through a cave and doing some stuff, some new animations, which obviously would be in the game. You had Dell in there looking kind of different.
JD, very different.
JD, I mean, I was messing with Ains for a while. I was like, that's not JD at all. That's like Marcus Phoenix's uncle, Marcus Phoenix's brother and JD's uncle. In parts, he looked older than Marcus to me, and Marcus had kind of a cleaned up look if you compare it to the last game where he had this massive beard.
He seems to be more militarized again.
Yeah.
Whereas JD looks older. He's obviously been promoted. He's their boss now.
Yeah.
Big scar down his face.
Thing on his
damaged arm.
Like some kind of infection. My speculation is that there's some kind of a virus going around, or like a vampire type sickness where you get bit or something, or zombie. Yeah, like a zombie sickness. You get bit and then you have to like seal it off, and that his arm's all messed up, and that might have been like a fight, but he definitely looks more weathered. You can tell. So it's a completely
different tension there.
Yeah,
between them. So that'll be really interesting. Announcement we didn't expect. I was hoping for Banjo-Kazooie, as I talk about constantly. Instead, we got Battletoads. They are bringing Battletoads back officially. No gameplay or video footage, but they mentioned hand-drawn 4K 2.5D graphics, which if you're a side-scrolling fan, that's all the words you want to hear.
Yep.
It's going to be 3-player couch co-op, and I'm sure online co-op as well. And then they made a funny thing about they said, and a whole bunch of other superlatives or something like that too. But pretty cool.
Very Battletoadish of an intro.
Yes.
So it looks cool. Speaking of Rare, we kind of heard of Sea of Thieves expansions.
Yeah, it looked good. It actually got pretty good applause. 4 million players they announced. That was new.
We've got one coming in the summer and then another one in the fall.
Yeah, July, September. So it looks like a 2-month kind of stretch.
Which is good. I think it needs some more legs on it to kind of get more people back. They mentioned 4 million people have logged in and played. No idea what it's currently at now, but it's obviously a big drop. But we'll see what happens. But no Perfect Dark, no Banjo. So no other Rare.
Just Battletoads, really. And they mentioned the developer of Battletoads, but it's not Rare.
Yeah.
It's a third party. Cuphead DLC. Super pumped about this one. Cuphead came on the screen. Me and that crazy dude behind me I was talking about when started screaming. So coming next year with a new island, new bosses, new weapons, and you can play as a third playable character now, the Chalice, who was previously just a little side room you could do in the first game. So I've talked enough about my love for Cuphead, but really pumped about that one as well.
Yep. The only negative from it was the lack of online co-op. I've been wanting to kind of do that with people online, mainly you, and kind of drive you nuts as to my horrible gameplay. But I think it would be a cool mechanic. But they have teased it and kind of mentioned it in the past that it's on their scope.
Yeah.
I have no idea if that's in the near future. Maybe it'll release at the time that the new stuff comes out. But no gameplay. We just saw, I guess, the Chalice turn into the character that she'll be playing, but we didn't see any hint of gameplay or any hint of level design or anything. So as we know, that game takes a lot to get worked on. It's not a simple switch over.
So that's really first party. So a lot of what we knew, right? Except for maybe Battletoads, a lot of stuff coming. Only one major title this fall, but people are complaining about that. But I'm thinking with the way September and October have already lined up, why would Microsoft launch one of their first party IPs other than Forza, which we get kind of annually now in the Horizon space? So I was fine with it personally. I don't mind seeing more polish put into Crackdown or Ori or any of those other titles. So
yeah, it seems like Microsoft really is positioning themselves to be the best play cross-platform games, and some of the games that they have marketing rights to, they've kind of gone out of their way to say this is the best place to play it.
They said that multiple times yesterday. Is the X is going to be the best place to play all these titles, which more titles we'll get to too.
Yeah, and it makes sense from a hardware perspective. So good for them. I think that's something they're going to target this generation, and I think with the studio acquisitions that are coming, that'll be the place for next generation where you're going to get those crazy exclusives to come out of. So I don't think we should be playing the exclusive game anyways in this generation, but it seems like that's what a lot of people do. So yeah, you'd say.
So let's talk third party, and we're going to start with Cyberpunk because so we talked about it. We thought we were going to see it at the Xbox conference. It was really, really cool, especially in person, the way they did it. So Phil kind of came out, gave us probably a few minutes at least, several minutes maybe, speech about the investment in Xbox and thanks to fans and all these other things. And then right as you thought he was kind of closing it out, this was after Gears and everything else, the whole theater went dark. It just kind of cut out. And it kind of came up on the screen with just a red flash. I told Bert, I actually for a second was confused because I was thinking, is this Watch Dogs?
Yeah.
Because it looked like how they had set up some of their stuff. But very quickly, it looked like DOS code, which being an old guy like me, I used to code in DOS, and so I could see where it said CD Projekt right in the middle of the code, and I got hyped. Finally, the guy behind me realized what it was, and so we were going nuts. And then when the trailer came on and it said CD Projekt Red Presents, the theater lit up. So looks incredible. Game engine footage, no actual gameplay. But about 2 minutes long of a huge variety of situations and people. Looks very Cyberpunk meets Grand Theft Auto type thing.
Sure.
But just knowing CD Projekt Red is behind it. I don't know. Superlatives everywhere. I don't really know what else to say. I want to see more.
I thought it was a sequel to Super Hot. No. Super Hot does that thing where they kind of hack into something.
Yeah, extra hot.
Yeah, extra hot. No, one thing you could say about the Cyberpunk trailer is that there was tons of new ideas, tons of new things that you couldn't even kind of picture, even like in a Star Wars movie or in that sci-fi world. Everything was originally thought out. I was kind of taken back by the world that they've created. I think we've heard from a number of people that have kind of seen sneak peeks is that they're going to have different way to play an open world type game that has not been done before. So I think when we actually see some real gameplay, some real stuff, maybe next E3, we're going to get kind of blown away of what we have. But it looks fantastic. It's cool to see from the original teaser that they gave us.
Yeah, and they showed what seems to be the main character who was speaking at one point, driving a car. A very cyberpunkish, you know, that whole kind of Blade Runner-ish theme.
Yeah.
At the end, they scale out and show the city, which looked incredible, and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, it's gonna take over my life for sure when that releases. So.
Yeah, so you'll have your life taken over by Red Dead this year, probably Cyberpunk next year.
Yeah, it'd be great if we get it next fall.
Fingers crossed, fall 2019 is what I think a lot of people are hoping for. But
yeah,
glad we finally got to see more on it.
Yeah. So we also got. Huge surprise was From Software's new game, Shadows Die Twice. It's not Bloodborne 2. It is not Tenchu. Instead, it looks to be a mix of the two.
Yeah.
It's called Sekiro. Huge applause when From Software's logo popped on the screen. And then we got gameplay, which looked to be a cross of... we talked about Neo and Dark Souls or Bloodborne. Looks to have kind of samurai combat, kind of bigger world maybe. Than Neo, which was very kind of closed off, but you could definitely see some of the Souls heart in the game from the way they attack, the perspective, the way you open doors. So interesting to see what they do with this one. It got a lot of applause, people are excited about it, so it's cool to see it finally.
Looks awesome. I mean, the combat looks fast, which I prefer the fast versus the slow in the Souls style game. So to me, that looks fantastic. It looked extremely polished for a first trailer with actual footage versus the teaser. So it looks fantastic from what we're looking so far. I guess we don't really know much else about it.
No.
I mean, it's not Tenchu. It's not Bloodborne 2 or anything like that. We're seeing something completely new.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
Jump Force. So this one came out of nowhere, and the crowd reaction to this was blown away. Guys were going nuts. I was sitting there trying to figure out why people were going nuts. But hey,
I was going nuts when I first saw it.
So we've got a crossover with it's a fighting game. We found out 3-on-3 fighting game. Not sure how that's going to work yet. They showed a little footage. Naruto, Dragon Ball,
and more.
I'm not the guy to speak to about this topic.
Yeah, so there's a lot of famous Japanese anime stuff, and I hope there's more to come. My dream character in that would be One Punch Man. So. The best
this
anime
is what you
ever.
get when you drink stuff like that, you know?
Frappuccino, come on. It's gotta wake up after the long day. So yeah, to me, it looks awesome. It is going to be kind of weird to have that mixed in. So we know it's a 3v3 is what the conversation's been. So 3v3 potential fighter. How are you going to mix that in with Dragon Ball Fighters with what's currently going on? Is there any anime characters that are well known that have not been made present? I mean, Capcom versus Marvel versus Capcom, I should say, did some similar teasers in their past with Part 2 and Part 3 and Infinite. So more to see. People were going nuts.
Yeah.
And you could audibly hear that in the theater. And people are going nuts about it online.
Speaking of the theater, it's kind of weird. I was telling Bert that in the theater, it was very loud. People were excited, except for maybe all the way at the back, some kind of dead bums back there they shouldn't have invited. But
I could have had that ticket.
For the most part, it was going nuts. It didn't really translate on the video because we rewatched it and it sounds kind of quiet. But I don't know why. But regardless, so we've got a ton more third-party content here that they showed. So Division 2. I'm a huge Division fan. I've talked about that. Division 2 is coming in March. It is set 6 months after the events of the first game. It's set in Washington, D.C., and it's basically, at this point after the outbreak, it's kind of the U.S. has mostly collapsed, and it's about, helping to fight to take it back, if you will. And they actually showed a full gameplay, like a full kind of side mission combat. They showed some new weapons. You got some highlights for new abilities, and it looks very similar to the first game, which is not a bad thing. I don't say that in a bad way because the first game has evolved into a very, very good game. But it did show some new things if you knew what you were looking for, and I'm hugely excited for it. So, and March, it's soon.
Best thing I could say about Division 2 is that if you love the first one, it looks like you're going to love more of the second one. They're in DC. Was it 6 months after the outbreak? So we're seeing more of that. It looks more polished. However, Division, if you have been playing it recently, it is a very polished game. It is a very different game from what it was at launch. So it looks like they're just going to kind of continue what has been a great game so far. So good for them. It looks great, and look forward to it.
Yeah, I'll be there. So the return of Devil May Cry. Mm-hmm. This one was another one that blew the crowd away, and they even brought the producer out, and he showed his excitement for how long it's been. We didn't realize, but the guy said it's been 10 years since Devil May Cry 4, which doesn't even seem to make any sense.
No, I think that might have been his direction for 10 years or something, but I could have sworn the most recent reboot was within 10 years. But if it's not, it's been gone for a while.
It's been a while. Yeah. So I know the director of it said he's been waiting to make it for 4 years. He thanked everyone for coming out. They said it's going to be the most polished game yet, which every developer says about every game. But we got a new lead character. Dante was actually only shown at the end in kind of a surprise thing. I did see some comments saying it's going to have 3 full playable characters, including the girl as well, I guess. So
okay, that's what it is.
We'll see what happens there, but people loved it.
Yeah, when I was initially watching, I didn't know what to think of the character. I didn't know if that was Dante redone again. He's had kind of a makeover. This would be twice in the series. The developers have kind of switched all over the place with Devil May Cry, so I think, like I was saying a second ago, this is the original Devil May Cry, or one of the original Devil May Cry directors is coming back, and he's mentioned many times this is his best Devil May Cry game. So very different gameplay mechanics. This dude's got an arm that releases, goes out, he can bring it back. He can grab people far away or punch them far away.
One punch?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, that's different.
Sorry.
It's Jump Force, yeah. So this time, so Dante's known for having guns and a sword, and you could juggle people, do whatever you want with them. This guy looks like the combat's very different. I do like the new art direction, so we'll see what that means. The Dante Virgil thing going back and forth has been kind of the tradition of Devil May Cry, so will be interesting to see what it looks like when it comes out. Not an exclusive. It was a world premiere, as we kind of mentioned, and
so there's a bunch of these were world premieres, and then of the third-party content, several said console launch exclusive. So we didn't keep track of which ones were which, but some of these are coming to Xbox first. I'm sure we'll know more about that in the future.
Yeah, we'll probably touch later on marketing deals, marketing rights, what's going to be exclusive to the console, maybe from a timed release perspective. We did have a video on how to expect that from E3, so if you're watching now, as you see more of the conference, you're going to see a lot of that phrasing that'll be kind of confusing because each company does it really different. The only one that can kind of get away with it easily is Nintendo, because obviously you're not going to have a Nintendo character on anything else but a Nintendo. So,
one of the other big surprises was a new skateboarding game. So, everyone expected Skate 4. They were hoping for it at EA Play. Did not get that on Saturday, and so new skateboarding game called Session. Not a lot of info, though. It's just kind of a trailer. People really loved it, but we don't really know the details. We don't know the gameplay. We don't know... I don't even think they showed the developer. I believe this was one that was set as a console launch exclusive. Cool. I hope it's a good skateboarding game. Skateboarding games are beloved, and it's been a long time since we got a good one.
Yeah, Tony Hawk has been in the dumps for a long time. We have no idea whatever happened with that franchise. I know the developers changed quite a bit. And then the other competitor would have been Skate, and Skate was beloved by the community. So,
we kind of knew something was coming because the Skate 3 servers went back online last week prior to E3, and Skate 3 is up-res and playable on Xbox.
So it might be that developer for all we know. And to Ains' point earlier, we have not seen a Skate game this entire generation.
Yeah.
So it's kind of cool to see that in today's graphics and world and everything. So we're excited about that.
Yep. And then probably one of your most exciting announcements was Dying Light 2. So Dying Light 2, Dying Light, huge following. That game has just gotten better and better and received more support from Techland over the past couple years. Tons of free DLC over the last 12 months we talked about previously. Dying Light 2 looks to take that to the next level with choices that matter, which we've heard in games for years and years and years, but this looks, this looks good. They showed a mission structure where you make one decision and how it affects your world, and where you go back and make a different decision and how that affects your world and how they're going to tie together. So the parkour looks really good. The gameplay looked incredibly smooth. Still, obviously, much harder to survive at night with crazy whatever you want to call it, zombies. I forget the name they use in that game, but
Yeah, I forgot too.
but looks great.
Yeah, so one of the things that's different is you were talking about the decisions. It's like in the first one, you have a lot of side quests and you have a lot of maybe like civil wars going on between different regions, but it only affected that one little area. So now it looks like the whole world's affected. There's kind of like an economy, there's water, there's money issues, which kind of is just going to be bigger. But it looks great. I'm glad that it's actually being worked on. Techland's an amazing developer. They do a lot of stuff for their community. They're still tweaking and adding loot for the game of the first one. So, loot. Yeah, great DLC also if you haven't played it. So something to be excited about.
Yep. And we did see more of Metro Exodus, which was one of my favorites of the conference. And I haven't even played the first 2 games fully. It just looks so good. The trailer showed really well, a lot of varied environments, bigger environments than just your corridor shooter. Showed weapon customization on the fly, which was really neat. Showed some bigger scale enemies and battles. Terrific music choice. It's just one of those games that shows really well.
Yep.
And just disappointed actually that it's coming February 22nd.
Yeah.
I don't know what 4A is. It 4A Games, 4A Studios? I forget the developer.
No.
I don't know what they're thinking there, because going up against Anthem and Days Gone is a mistake.
Well, it's going to be another crazy fall and Q1 coming up. So a lot of big games. Metro is always fantastic. If you're one of those people that have not touched Metro before, it's one of the best single-player shooters you can play. The story is always really good. It has a Bioshock-esque feeling where you kind of get absorbed into that world and you really see a ton of things. I'm not too sure how good it is to play today compared to what it was when it was out, but I think they're still playable. One of them's available on Game Pass for free if you haven't.
And they were remastered too.
Yeah, they're remastered for this generation, but still very playable. I highly suggest checking them out. Exodus looks amazing.
One of the exciting things that's been touted for a while is, Phil Spencer commented a few months ago about their team, working with Japanese developers and trying to get that more worldly support or Japanese support on the Xbox. And we kind of saw that yesterday. So we saw, for instance, Sekiro from Software. We saw Jump Force. We saw the remastered of his Valkyrie, not Valkyrie Chronicles. I'm mixing up the name now. Oh, man.
Tales of Vesperia.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, that's it. Sorry. So we saw that on the stage, and then we also saw that Kingdom Hearts 3 showed up on Xbox's stage, and I know you're a big fan there, so that makes one of us.
Yep.
But it was the first time, or it's going to be the first time Kingdom Hearts is coming to the Xbox platform, and that comes out in January. So
the cool thing about the Kingdom Hearts trailer, outside of me loving Kingdom Hearts, is it was a world premiere trailer, one that we haven't seen.
Right.
We have seen the other gameplay and trailer numerous times from different angles and everything that has been the PlayStation push. I have a feeling we're going to see something new from them tomorrow as well, if not the same trailer that was just shown at Xbox. But it's cool to see something new. Your favorite Disney movie was showcased quite a bit about it, Frozen. Looks pretty fun. But so it's we do have a launch day for it now too.
Yeah, January 19th, if I recall correctly. And then we also saw Nier Automata with DLC and in 4K and HDR for the Xbox One X is coming next week or 2 weeks from now.
June 26th.
June 26th, a couple weeks out. So cool to see that too.
Yeah, I mean, that's a game I have a lot of love and hate for. I just can't seem to finish it. Something about it, I don't know what it is, but it's got a lot of just charm to it. I think I'll have to sit down. I will probably not buy it again on the Xbox One. I already have it on PlayStation. But I think for the people that haven't had a chance to play it and are maybe into that kind of genre, this is for you. So check it out.
A couple things from EA real quick. We didn't mention, so we did see Battlefield 5, and we got a single player kind of trailer for that, which was cool. It's good to see that it's going to be a decent single player story, for Battlefield, and you already spoke about the multiplayer in our EA recap.
Yeah.
But we did not see Anthem.
Not at all.
It was on Xbox's stage last year, so maybe they just didn't have time to fit it in, or EA knew they were going to be showing it a lot themselves, so I don't know.
Yeah, there was kind of a surprise with that because they have the marketing rights, if I'm not mistaken, for Anthem, so you thought they would kind of push that, but maybe too much Anthem in a 2-day period was maybe too much.
Yeah.
And they figured that they would use that time for something else.
Yeah, and it was a long conference already. And then we saw more Tomb Raider.
Tomb Raider looks fantastic. Yeah. However, nothing really new from it. It kind of has everything you'd expect out of a Tomb Raider game.
Comes out in a couple months. There's not a whole lot left to
it's
show.
right around the corner. If you love Tomb Raider, you're going to love this game. So, looks cool there. What did we not see? Anything else that we were thinking we were going to see?
Banjo-Kazooie.
Banjo. We didn't see anything on Avatars, which is kind of weird. I thought we would see.
That's true. Yeah, we didn't.
I thought we would see something on Avatars.
And they even mentioned the June update, but they didn't mention Avatars.
Yeah, so that was kind of a weird omission. As you mentioned, the Elite controller wasn't there. They did spend a time talking about Game Pass on how that's being revolutionized.
Yeah, they're really pushing Game Pass. So more content for it today. Fallout 4, Division, and Elder Scrolls Online, all added now on Game Pass. And they showed some third-party games that are going to be launching day and date with Game Pass.
Yeah.
Which was neat to see. And obviously for big games like Crackdown and Forza Horizon 4, now those launching Game Pass as well. So if you're in that conundrum where October hits and you're like, man, I really don't want to spend the money on Horizon because I got Battlefield and Call of Duty and Red Dead. If you're a Game Pass member, you just get to play it.
Game Pass is becoming the best bargain in gaming right now, in my opinion. I mean, Fallout 4 and Division are enhanced, so those look just amazing right now. They're really pretty. And State of Decay, Sea of Thieves, you add all that in, and on top of everything, there's some crazy sales going on right now for Game Pass. So.
Yeah. So if you're not a Game Pass member, $1 for your first month.
$1 for your first month, and then you got
6
the
months.
Amazon, or $1 for 6 months.
No. Sorry. $1 for the first month.
Yeah, $1 for your first month, and then Amazon's got a crazy deal that is actually back in stock this morning, and it's 6 months for 3 months. It's pretty much what it is. You're paying half price. You're paying half price for those 6 months, and it's only $10 a month if you're not even on any sale. So it kind of makes sense within 6 months of playing just one game.
$5 a month.
You've already made it up.
Yep.
So.
The only other thing we mentioned, I forgot about actually, with the Compulsion Games announcement was We Happy Few was shown. A game I followed for a while. I actually part of the preview for that game. Looks really good. They went back a few months ago and said they're going to retool the story and how it opens, and that's what we got yesterday was the story trailer along with a launch date. It's coming in August. Still coming to the PlayStation 4. So that was a question. As soon as Microsoft announced they had acquired Compulsion Games, the question immediately arose, well, is We Happy Few still coming for PlayStation 4? And it is, which is good to see, right? Obviously, that would kind of suck if people had already pre-ordered it and then they couldn't buy it. So, but that looks really good. I think that game is going to surprise some people. I think it's going to be a really good one. So.
Yeah, it looks really cool. And I think with all the acquisitions, we'll see what that means for the sequels or continuing software that have been cross-platform. With it now being first party, it's probably not going to be cross-platform anymore.
Yeah. So they're future games. So anyway, there's probably more we're forgetting. I had a great time there. The stage presence. Microsoft always does a good, they have a really cool stage. The Microsoft Theater was packed. The sound was incredible. So just a really good show. I also like the message that Phil Spencer gives, about gaming being all-inclusive, about breaking down barriers of disability, how they were supporting gamers outreach with Xbox Fan Fest proceeds 100%. They're a good guy company at this point in time. It seems such a vast departure from the Microsoft that kind of got the reputation in the 2000s, maybe a decade ago, of being that corporate bully. Under Nadella and Phil now, and they do a lot of good. And it was just a good time. So I really, really liked it. I thought they showed what they had to show. A ton of games, a ton of world premieres. Sure, they're not world premiere exclusive, but they're world premieres. They're working with more developers. They're investing in first party. They said, generations to come. They have already made the statement that the next Xbox, which the code name we found out is Scarlet, is being worked on now, and Phil has already said they will lead the way again in the hardware space or hardware in the console space, which is a bold statement. Probably 2-3 years out already. So they're starting to get their groove. They've really come full circle, and you can see the seeds being planted for a very, very impressive next few years.
Yeah, vast improvement from I think every E3 that Microsoft has had this generation. And you can really look at the software that's coming third party. You can see first party seeds being planted, as you mentioned. We should see something there. I think it's on reflecting on things. I think it makes sense that there maybe wasn't any hardware talk or anything along those lines, and focus on software for now.
Needed.
It's not needed, and I think on the downside of the lack of an Elite controller, I think they're kind of letting the adaptive controller ride some high waves now, and maybe the Elite controller will come down the drain.
Down the drain.
down the road for other gamers that don't need the adaptive controller. But I thought it was a very well done conference. As you mentioned, presentation is always one of their best things. And it was a lengthy conference, so it's not a 30-minute or an hour. It was a lot longer with a ton of content. So bravo to Xbox. We'll see what else Nintendo and PlayStation have this E3.
Yeah. And we didn't even talk about Todd Howard coming out for Fallout 76 either. I forgot, but we got the
we'll talk
before the Bethesda conference. We got the
we'll talk more about Bethesda in general and Todd Howard as we talk about Bethesda. So we can catch up on that. There was really just a long trailer and a little bit of talk from Todd Howard during the Microsoft one, but he dives a lot more into Bethesda.
So as always, thanks for tuning in for our continued E3 coverage here. Like we said, this is the Microsoft recap. There's going to be a playlist of all the videos. So if you want to catch up on our recaps of all the conferences, we're doing them individually and then tying them together if you want to watch all of them. But thank you. We're going to have a lot more coming to you through the rest of the week as the conference kicks off. We still have Square Enix, Ubisoft, and Sony, and then the conference itself. So stay tuned. Thank you.